For hundreds of years, civil rights for many African Americans has not been experienced. Systemic racism has permeated through education, government, business, media, and especially law enforcement. Abuse of authority through the means of racism would often go unscathed in the absence of justice, if not for social media or videography capturing these heinous acts. Even with indisputable evidence, witnesses, and testimonies, those who are guilty of murder are often acquitted. This sets precedents that unjustified murder is tolerable against African Americans and people of color by rule of law. Perpetual injustice has caused national outrage, sparking international attention, proclaiming that Black lives are valuable. Millions of people throughout the world have joined in solidarity, pleading for fair treatment for all. Athletes, celebrities, moguls, politicians, and other notable leaders have cast aside their differences, uniting in the fight against racism. Surprisingly, the church, which should be the leading moral authority condemning the odious powers of racism, are divided. Since millions in the American church have remained silent concerning the injustice of the African expression of God's image, He has caused the world to cry out on our behalf. Religious leaders who should be public allies concerning injustices are now silently absent. Evangelicals take no issue proclaiming internationally Jewish lives matter, but domestically believe Black lives do not. The same prophetic voices who can foresee the election of conservative right-wing politicians without voting somehow are unable to use their spiritual insight to see the blatant evils of racism even captured on video. More evidence must be given because there is no way a Caucasian person can murder someone without justification. And usually, the African American involved is typically engaging in criminal activity. Jordan Davis was sitting in his car at a gas station. Breonna Taylor was playing a video game. Botham Jean was a minister. Most preachers ignorantly opine this is a spiritual issue and the church is the only institution that can eliminate racism. This would be the case if the scriptures weren't used to enslave. The Bible in the hands of those who do not live and reflect God's character will manipulate, oppress, and convey white supremacist ideas in the name of Christ. The gospel preached in the hands of the righteous will heal, affirm cultural identity, and see all ethnicities as a liberated, diverse reflection of the image of God. Honestly, the greatest hindrance to African Americans receiving the gospel is racism blatantly expressed in the church. It is contemptible so-called believers are more outraged by God removing Confederate idols and insignias of hatred in America, but are apathetic towards Black men and women who are murdered without merit. This behavior would be similar to ancient Israelites being emancipated from the bondage of Egyptian rulers, yet outraged the idols of Pharaoh are destroyed. It's difficult for Blacks worldwide to believe the American church is the answer to racism when our houses of worship have been bombed, set on fire, or even shot brutally. Why should this generation accept the message of the cross when our ancestors had crosses burned in our yards?